Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. So, yes, we have just recently talked about Whitney Houston's first two albums, whether it's Whitney Houston or Whitney. So, we are going to also talk about I'm Your Baby tonight. So, yeah, the thing about the shift here, because this is 1990 we're talking about, okay? When we talk about 80s albums, because there'll be more, we notice criticism and we notice the sense of there could have been more quality from what they want to hear from an artist. And you know me personally, when I hear something, I can tell like they really put their work and dedication. So I feel like a lot of times, maybe some critics that was going over their head because, everybody hears things differently. So, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Definitely check out Patreon. There will be new videos on there soon, along with new episodes on Spotify. Definitely check them out. Thank you so much. And let's get into it. So, I'm Your Baby Tonight is the third studio album by Whitney Houston. It was released on November 6, 1990 by Arista Records. The album was certified quadruple platinum in the US by the Record Academy. So, it did really well. Let's talk about the background of the album. By 1989, Whitney Houston had become one of the most successful musicians in the industry with her last two albums, Whitney Houston in 1985 and Whitney 1987, having sold a combined 30 million copies at the time. Houston's crossover blend of pop and R&B had helped her to break barriers on pop radio and on MTV, which, along with the commercial breakthrough of Michael Jackson, led to the music industry enjoying the best time for crossover artists since the height of disco in the mid to late 1970s, according to journalist Frank Rizzo in 1987. Despite this, however, some black critics began to voice their disapproval of Houston's music, especially with her sophomore album release. Whitney, which included the number one hits, the dance pop hit I Wanna Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, and in particular the rock song So Emotional, accusing the singer of selling out. They also felt that her records lacked the soul of her live performances of the same songs. Houston's name was jeered by some in the Houston's name was jeered by some in the audience at both the 1988 and 1989 Soul Train Awards, where she first met future husband Bobby Brown. After she was announced as a nominee in the category, Houston defended herself against the criticism, telling Essence magazine in 1990, "If you're gonna have a long career, there's a certain way to do it, and I do it that way. I'm not ashamed of it." Still, both Houston and her label head Clyde Davis agreed to go into a more urban direction as popular music was starting to embrace a new urban pop sound called the New Jack Swing. Even as her sophomore album Whitney was blanketed airwaves in the spring of 1988, music industry insiders were speculating that there is talk her next album will have a blacker direction. As the material on her previous albums had been picked by the label, Houston wanted more creative control over the album's content, as I had said previously. When it got to the 90s, she was like, I need to do movies. I need to appreciate my people more than they think and thought I was already appreciating them. And I want to live my life. Okay? And she did just that. Where did we last leave off? Yeah, as the material of her previous albums had been picked by the label, Houston wanted more creative control over the album's content. As a result, Houston would serve as an executive producer for the first time on an album. She recruited the New Jack Swing production team of L.A. Reid and Babyface, citing their work on Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel, to help her with her new direction. So, in the midst of knowing that Bobby was going to be in the area at the award show, she liked the team that he was working with, which are legendary in their own right, to where she felt, you know what, I want that. This is what I want to do. This is where I'm going to go from. The duo would present the songs I'm Your Baby Tonight, My Name Is Not Susan, their soul ballad Miracle, and Any More. Houston also recruited longtime idol Stevie Wonder on the album, with two collaborating on the Wonder-composed duet We Didn't Know, while longtime friend singer Luther Vandross penned the dance pop song Who Do You Love. Houston would also produce a song herself, I'm Knockin', which was written for her by longtime musical collaborator and the musical director of her concert tours, Ricky Minor and B.B. Winans. Houston would co-produce and co-write another song with Winans titled Taking a Chance. Houston and Davis kept previous producers Michael Mazur and Narada Michael Walden. With Mazur, Houston was received the soft rock song After We Make Love, which would end up being their last collaboration together, while with Walden, Houston recorded the songs I Belong to You, Lover for Life, and the Linda Clifford ballad All the Man That I Need, the sole cover of the album. Houston and Walden also worked on songs such as Higher Love, Dancing on the Smooth Edge, and Feels So Good. At the end, Taking a Chance and the three latter Walden productions were left off the album's final track list, except in Japan, where Higher Love and Taking a Chance were featured. So Higher Love actually is now like a serious song. Like they play that all the time, remastered and just out. And it's like she never left. But yeah. Commercial performance, it didn't do as well. It debuted at number 22 for the issue date November 24th, 1990. In its second week, it leaped to number 5. The following week saw its peak position at number 3. The album spent 22 weeks in the top 10 and was on the chart for a total of 51 weeks. It also debuted at number 10 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart, the issue date of December 1st, 1990, and reached the number 1 position of that chart 3 weeks later. So, as you can see, the R&B top charts, they was loving it over time. They said, okay, she loves us. All right, we need to shut up. But pop, they were like, what is this? What is this? do we like this? What is this? Like, they liked it, they loved it, but they didn't take it in as much as it being like very much clean and Whitney-esque to her previous album, which is why I guess it debuted at number 2. But even so, what does it say here? The record was at the top of the R&B hip hop chart for 8 non-consecutive weeks and was present on that chart for a total of 53 weeks. Due to its great performance on that chart, it became the number 1 R&B album of the Billboard year-end charts of 1991. Which is good. So, like I said, the black people, us black people, well, my black people, whichever people you guys want to claim as far as black people, for that chart. I mean, I feel like people are people, and whatever chart that you listen to, period, you love the song. I just think that just a whole, just everything being this, that, is just say a chart and how much it's selling. That's all. It's just the way things were and still kind of are. Yeah. The album was certified 4 times platinum by the Record Academy by April 5th, 1995. And since began tracking sales dated for May 1991, it has sold, as of 2009, 1.7 million copies in the US. This amount does not include copies sold in the initial months of the album's release or sales through the mail order sources such as Columbia House and BMG Music Club. This is not its sales total, as the biggest portion of the sales occurred in November 1990 before there was Nielsen SoundScan. So there's more sales that are still being counted to this day, but it says to date the album has sold approximately 10 million copies worldwide. So it did really well as far as worldwide. They was just shocked that she went a whole new direction. So here's the track list. Track 1 is I'm Your Baby Tonight. Track 2 is My Name Is Not Susan. Track 3 is All the Man That I Need. So those first 3 tracks, I'm sure everyone was just like, oh my god, she back. And mind you, it's from 1987 to 1990, so it took her like about 3 years. Like they ain't heard nothing from her for about 3 years. And then 4 was Lover for Life, 5 was Anymore, 6 was Miracle, 7 was I Belong to You, 8 was Who Do You Love, 9 was We Didn't Know, which is a duet with Stevie Wonder, 10 is After We Make Love, and then 11 is I'm Knockin'. The Japanese bonus tracks were Taking a Chance and Higher Love. But yeah, these are classic songs. And to be honest with you, from the direction of this album, she decided to say, I want to do a movie. And she was also becoming pregnant. By who else? Bobby Brown. And she started to work on a soundtrack with a movie after considerations were handled. The Bodyguard. And so we can talk about The Bodyguard in a separate video, and how well that movie did, because it's one of the best movies of all time. And it got to really let people know that Whitney could act as well as she could sing. And they didn't get to really see that so early in her career compared to other artists, because some artists honestly may have acted first before they started to get into singing, or were in the midst of doing only one album and already was being seen another way. It all varied back in the day. But we will talk about that. But yes, this is the end of our video and episode. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll be back with more.